This is a sociology attendance sheet. Make sure that you mark that you're here.
Yeah, I'm
This is an important page because this is basically a list of things that are on your plate as far as this class is concerned. And you can see that there are kind of a lot of bullets, and that's because there's a lot going on in here. So maybe take your phone out and take a picture of it. It'll also be on the website. But this is your world as far as sociology is concerned. I'll be happy to kind of read through all of these right now. So the first thing is the 5 tests. 7 part 2, 17, 17 part 2, and then the presentation testy thing. That's 5 different exams. You can take each one twice. They're open note, open Google. I honor the best of the 2. That's due tomorrow by the end of the hour. You will have tomorrow the entire hour to work on whatever. And this would be priority 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. The Under God paper, it's in Infinite Campus. For those of you who did it, awesome. If you didn't, no panic. It's a 0 until you do it. And then you get whatever credit it is that you deserve. I do read them, which I don't think some of you realize based on the paper you handed in. Like I actually read them and I grade them based on how they're written. Okay, so you should be more careful when you're typing the thing. Yes, dear. Great. Oh, you don't need to tell me. I know. I can tell who's turned it in.
I know, just because I turned it late, I don't know if you saw it.
I will too. There is no late.
I know, like.
Okay. So anyway, there are many of you that have not presented your media or government things. You can still do so. It would be during your flex time, or if we have time in class, which I doubt, or before school, after school, during work time in here, just present it to me. And for those of you who think, well, that's not fair. I had to present mine in front of 40 kids, and those people can present it just to Potter. That's not fair. I gave you a bonus point if you presented already. And that could be the difference between and okay. Also, our next topic of study is on cults and sects and denominations, basically religion in America. There's a Kia. It's a new Kia. It's due November 1st. Today is October the 16th. So you do have a little bit of time here. You take that one infinite number of times, and I'll honor the best score on November 1st. And then all of you are going to be signing up for your religion project, which is due October 20th. Today is October 16th. Well, that would be Tuesday.
No.
Well, whatever Tuesday is, that's the day when these are due.
Okay.
Did I do that wrong?
Yeah, do this
It should be due Tuesday of next week, a week from today.
So 25th.
No.
The 23rd. 23rd.
23rd.
Okay.
That should say 23rd.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't know what happened.
I'm like,
Okay.
that's not a lot of time.
Anyone need this up here anymore? Because I got to put something else up. Oh.
Here you go. Okay.
I have things to hand out to
You
you.
can take off the blue. Thank you. Can I just get it over my nose? Christianity. Oh, I know about a lot of religions. I studied. No, yes, but like Christianity is not a religion. Or Catholic. Can I say specific? Yeah, like kind of Catholic. Kind of Catholic. My religion.
How when she said she was collecting the entries?
Next week. So, like, tomorrow, Sunday.
I have a small group Tuesday, so I'm just gonna say. I don't know why. She collects them at different times so that she doesn't bog herself down with having to read them all in like a few days.
Yeah, because I was
I
talking
didn't turn
to
mine
her
in.
like the day after she collected everyone's, and she's just like, I am not collecting everyone's at the same time again. She's like, I like barely got any sleep. I am tired. I'm not doing this again. Like
For English, we just have the paper rough draft and the entries, right? That's all we have to get done. That's like on our plate right now.
For what?
For English.
I didn't finish that.
Oh, and
More handouts.
the thesis statement.
special.
You read this in classes.
Oh, don't blame the eater.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. I have the article of the question.
Oh.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Oh wow. Okay.
These are cheap and not.
It's an ability where he like turns it on. And he just
Technically, religion is a cult. Technically. On a technicality, it is.
Yeah, well,
On a technicality, so is band and choir, if you really think about it.
I
In
mean,
band, no, band is a cult. It's marching band's a cult. We all wear the exact same thing. We all drink from the same water bottles. I love
Catholics
my
don't
life.
wear all the same music.
Well, the band, not the color guard, the band.
No, I'm talking about like religion. We go to
I
church,
know.
we're not wearing.
Yeah, but that is a cult. She's saying a cult, not.
I mean, on technicality, I think religion is a cult.
I will
Right?
fight
On
against
technicality,
it is.
Well,
Sure. Is that your? Yeah.
just because it is this world, this does not mean a cult. It just means that many people.
I think
You
I
are
have
exploring
chapstick in there if you
why.
can read it to me.
Well,
No,
it's
only
not
chapstick. Just
So
read it
it's
to me.
not
It's in the pocket.
considered a cult.
Heaven Gate. What is that?
It's a follow voice.
I know, it's a good sweatshirt. I caught it.
It's a follow voice song. That's what it is.
Not what I needed.
Okay, and that's due tomorrow, right? The don't blame the eater thing?
I thought it was due like today.
No, because today it was small group
Yeah.
English.
I already do this for playing theater. I don't remember.
Do we have anything in chemistry? Just the labs, right?
Oh shoot, I haven't done it so. Oh, why did you do that?
When is the eater?
All right,
whatever?
I gave up.
Wow. I didn't do that.
I just wanted to make
forgot about
sure. Let's do it because I don't have my little.
Should have 3 handouts.
You're supposed to be passing this around.
Yeah.
A lot of people just came up to the table.
Let's see.
A bunch of people just
Gosh,
came
I'm
up to
trying
the
to
table,
remember.
so I'm just like, okay, puzzle is.
A 5 minutes.
This is what I want you to do first. I want you to look at this letter. I realize the writing is little, but that's okay. Let's spend a few minutes on this letter. Your successful understanding of the brilliance of this letter, which was written by the name of Kurt Vonnegut. Anyone ever heard of Kurt Vonnegut?
No.
Kurt Vonnegut wrote one of my favorite books ever. He's the author of a book called Slaughterhouse-Five. Have any of you ever heard of Slaughterhouse-Five? Great book. Honestly, it's a great book. And he writes a letter, and he's writing it in response to a decision that he doesn't like that has been made by somebody else. And he wrote a letter to that someone else expressing his displeasure with whatever decision was made. And what I want you to do is figure out what that decision was based on this letter. So at your table, you're going to be reading this bad boy. And I want you to figure out the 3 types of arguments he is making about the stupidity of the decision that has been made. Those 3 arguments are ethos, pathos, and logos arguments. And what I want you to do is try and figure out where they are. So in order to do that successfully, I need to tell you what ethos, pathos, and logos are. Okay? I won't tell you specifically, but there's the argument that says you're wrong because look at your level of education. You can't be right because your credibility is lacking. That's one argument. Your argument is wrong because you lack credibility, but I have credibility. Look at the reason I'm right is because look at my list of awards. That makes me right. That's one argument, the credibility argument. The second argument goes like this. You're wrong because your logic is flawed. Your logic is flawed. Okay? So argument 1 is credibility. I have it, you don't. Argument number 2 is credibility. Argument number 2 is logic. Your argument lacks logic. And then argument number 3 is you can't do what you're doing. You're killing the baby seals.
So morally wrong.
No, emotional. The reason those commercials are on TV with the baby seal that's about to get clubbed is so that you think, oh my God, cute baby seal. And if you take American history, for me, do you remember one of the ways that the guy that made the Boston Massacre picture so persuasive is he put a puppy in the front? And so you're looking like, oh my God, a puppy! Okay. Third way of making an argument is you're wrong. Look at the baby seals. You're murdering baby seals. So once again, 3 arguments. I have credibility and you don't. Your logic is flawed. Baby seals. Can you find in this letter all 3? I'll give you till the big hand is on the 2 and see how you're doing. Okay? As a table. See if you can find them. Go.
Let's find the baby seals.
Do you want to read it out loud? I feel like I would take a little longer though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Okay,
find
well,
the
it's gonna take
baby
me like 5 minutes to read this.
Yeah.
I can read it out loud if you want. I guess we can read as we go. We can go. I'm writing to you in your capacity as chairman of the Drake School Board. I am among those American writers whose books have been destroyed in the now famous furnace of your school. Certain members of your community have suggested that my work is evil. This is extraordinarily insulting to me. News from Drake indicates to me that books and writers are very unreal to you people. I'm writing this letter to you to let you know how real I am. Okay, so like there's introducing of the elements of the arguments because he's like, I guess bad cred versus good cred. He's like, I'm real. You're not. But I don't know if you want to do that yet. I want you to know, too, that my publisher and I have done absolutely nothing to exploit the disgusting news from Drake. You're not clapping each other on the back, crowing about all the books we will sell because of the news. You have declined to go on television, have written no fiery letters to editorial pages, have granted no lengthy interviews. We are angered and sickened and saddened, and no copies of this letter have been sent to anyone else. You now hold the only copy in your hands. It is a strictly private letter from me to the people of Drake, who have done so much to damage my reputation in the eyes of their children and then in the eyes of the world. Do you have the courage and ordinary decency to show this letter to the people, or will it to be consigned to the fires of your furnace? I think that's supposed to be emotional. I don't know. I gather from what I read in the papers and hear on television that you imagine me, and some other writers too, as being sort of rat-like people who enjoy making money from poisoning the minds of young people. Okay. I am, in fact, a large, strong person, 51 years old, who did a lot of farm work as a boy, who is good with tools. I have raised 6 children, 3 of my own and 3 adopted. They have all turned out well. 2 of them are farmers. I am a combat infantry veteran from World War II and hold a Purple Heart. This is
I feel like we should do
credibility.
that.
This is the credibility.
Yeah.
I have earned whatever I hold by hard work. I have never been arrested or sued for anything. I am so much trusted with young people and by young people that I have served on the faculties of the University of Iowa, Harvard, and City College of New York. Every year I receive at least a dozen invitations to be commencement speaker at colleges and high schools. My books are probably more widely used in schools than those of any other living American fiction writer. Yeah. So that's definitely credibility. If you were to bother to read my books to behave as educated persons would, you would learn that they are not sexy and do not argue in favor of wildness of any kind. They beg that people be kinder and more responsible than they often are. It is true that some of the characters speak corrosely. That is because people speak corrosely in real life. Especially soldiers and hardworking men speak corrosively, and even our most sheltered children know that. We all know, too, that those words really don't damage children much. They don't damage us.
Are you just joining us?
It didn't damage us when we were young. It has evil deeds, and it was evil deeds and lying that hurt us. After I have said all of this, I'm sure that you are still ready to respond.
If you just joined us, you should come over here and grab the 3 handouts.
But it still remains our right and responsibility to decide what books our children are going to be made to read in our community.
Yeah.
This is surely so, but it is also true that if you exercise that right and fulfill that responsibility as an ignorant, harsh, un-American manner, then people are entitled to call you bad. Did I say that wrong?
Manner.
Oh. Manner. Then people are entitled to call you bad citizens.
I'm not sure where you are, but we're going to stop here. Hopefully you at least got some of what just happened here. Let me read part of 3 different paragraphs. You tell me what you think is going on. So let's skip to the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph, the one that starts, I gather from what? And I go to the second sentence. I am, in fact, a large, strong person, 51 years old, who did a lot of farm work as a boy, good with tools. I've raised 6 children, 3 my own, 3 adopted. 2 of them are farmers. I was in the Army, fought in World War II. I have a Purple Heart. I'm this, I'm that. That is ethos. We should listen to this guy because, my God, look at his list of accomplishments. Think about if you had one guy named Barack who expressed an opinion about the words under God, and somebody named Genie. And Barack says one thing about the words under God, and his credibility is President of the United States. Genie is my neighbor. Which one might you think I should listen to that person? It would be Barack because he has credibility, President of the United States. Okay? That is ethos. The character or the credibility of the persuader. So when you're signing up for one of these options that you're going to be doing very soon, one of the arguments you have to make is the reason my side's right and that side's wrong is look at who's making these arguments versus who's making those arguments. The credibility of my presenter is much better than the credibility of their presenter. That is ethos. Okay? Let's try this one. It says here, the very next paragraph, if you were to bother to read my books to behave as educated persons would, you would learn that they are not sexy, do not argue in favor of wildness of any kind. They beg that people be kinder, more responsible than they often are. It is true. If you did this, then this would happen. That's a dead giveaway. If A, then B.
Logic.
It's logic. If A, then B is a dead giveaway that you are going with logic, which is logos. Logic, logos. Ooh, logic, logos. There's an easy way to remember it. They both have the second letter O. Logic, logos. A-O. Logic, logos, second letter O. Great way to remember it. Oh, yeah.
That's logical, Will.
I was joking, right? That I purposefully avoided. All right. Second thing you are being asked to do for your presentation is make a logos argument, a logical argument. The reason I'm right is because look at this unavoidable equation. 2 + 2 is 4. To the paragraph that starts, I read in the newspaper. That's like the third to last one there. I read in the newspaper that your community is mystified by the outcry from all over the country about what you have done. Well, you have discovered that Drake is a part of American civilization, haven't you? And your fellow Americans can't stand that you have behaved in such an uncivilized way. You're not an American. Yeah, this is tugging at the heartstrings, right? It's the American flag in the background. You can almost hear the music. Damn it, Bernice. Look at that last sentence. If you're an American, you will blah, blah, blah. If you're a real American, blah, blah. That's emotion. Okay? You are being asked to make an ethos, pathos, and logos argument in your little presentation. Great letter. Okay, you can keep that forever. Now, if the old English teacher were here, she and I would have cooperated on a little project where you would have to have written an ethos, pathos, and logos paper. Miss Spurl, yeah. Oh, I loved her. But she's off on greener pastures. So for now, we are going to not. So now I want you to look at this bad boy. On the other side is a series of debate topics. We're now looking at this side of it. This explains the requirements of the task before you. When you sign up for the options, which are on the other side, there are your options. What are you being asked to do? Well, you're being asked to create a Google slideshow where you make an ethos, pathos, and logos argument for one of these topics, either yes or no to one of these topics. If you do all three, well, you're in Aville. If you do two of the three, you're in Bville. If you do one of the three, you're in Cville. Each argument needs to have some sort of a visual. Don't have tons of words on there that you're reading. You'll be bored. I'll be bored. They'll be bored. The American people will be bored. Don't be boring. Have your little note cards. That's awesome. Those of you who did that, great. And it says there, analysis of each argument presented. This is where you throw your 2 cents in. How is it ethos, pathos, logos? In fact, I've had presentations before where the word title is the word ethos. No mistake in that. I know what that argument is. Pathos. No, it's ethos. Right? There it is. The word ethos. God, I put egos. I should fix that. That's a mistake. Okay. 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. Now let's look at the other side, the options. Here they are. Some of them have been slightly cut off, so I will tell you exactly what they should say. Option 1. Now there's a yes and a no component. So you could sign up to make the yes argument of option 1 or the no option of argument number 1. Should religion be kept strictly separate from government? This is another way of saying, hey, should the words under God be removed from the Pledge of Allegiance? Should the words in God we trust be removed from coins? Should there be a biblical scene, a manger scene on public libraries during Christmas? Should there be Christmas trees in a public school during Christmas? Or should we just stick with Santa Claus? That version, okay? Should government and religion be completely separated? On SIRS, that website, you can find this information under this thing called freedom of religion. So you just go there. So yes means it should be completely separated. No means those things to kind of the lines to be blurred. Second option, should illegal activities such as polygamy be allowed in the name of religious freedom? Sort of an interesting argument. Why don't we allow polygamy in the United States? It's illegal, but why? Let's assume everyone is old enough to make their own decisions. Polygamy is multiple wives. Is it legal?
No.
But why? Why? Legal. If assuming everyone is old enough to make their own decision, Why is the government saying, no, you cannot do that? You cannot make your own choice to be Wednesday or whatever wife you're named. Okay? Maybe we should allow it because those people are able to make their own decisions, but maybe not.
Is it derived from Christianity, from like our roots?
Sorry?
Is it derived from like our Christian roots? Is like that?
Well, yeah, but that's a religious argument, isn't it? Okay, so again, on SIRS, you would look under this thing called freedom of religion. There it is. Okay, like, how about this one? How many of you have ever heard of this thing called creationism? Creationism? Or any of you ever heard of this thing called intelligent design?
Yeah.
Never heard of intelligent design. You all have taken or are taking or will take a class called science, yes?
Yeah.
And in that class called science, I think there's even a class called biology, yes?
Yeah.
And you learn about evolution. Evolution, the theory that life has been around for millions of years, not about 6,000 like the Bible version. Now, you want to believe word for word the Bible? Awesome. Believe it word for word. But we have a class called science that teaches evolution, the theory of evolution. What this question is asking is, well, if you're going to teach evolution, shouldn't you also teach the version of where life came from that's called creationism, which is basically what the Bible says is true, or at least teach something called intelligent design, which teaches evolution happened, but because God willed it to be so. God is the intelligent designer. He made it so. Shouldn't that be taught in your science class? Yes, it should, or no, it shouldn't. Once again, it's under this thing called freedom of religion.
I wonder what the theme of this
Or
is.
the last option here is that fourth question. Does the government have the right to ban the wearing of Islamic headscarves? France, a couple of years ago, banned the wearing of any religious affiliated clothing. So there go the Muslim headscarves, but also there go those things that nuns wear.
And
I think they're called habits. Okay, can't wear those. We're not debating this now.
no, I have a question.
No.
No questions.
Should the government be able to do that? Ban the wearing of Islamic headscarves and by extension, other religious affiliated clothing.
Like a
Yes, it
cross
should. No, it shouldn't. And once again, it's under this thing called freedom of religion. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 possible spots because it'd be you and a partner. You and a partner debating against someone else and a partner. So that takes out 8 of you. What are the rest of you doing? And that's where this third handout comes in. So you're doing one or the other, not both.
I'm getting this one.
This one's kind of fun. Pick a cult.
Oh.
I found the 10 nuttiest cults I could find. They're way out there. You pick one, and you do a PowerPoint on that one. As a result, you are not bound by the ethos, pathos, logo stuff. You're simply presenting on a cult. And there are the requirements. There are some suggestions for what you could include. It's either this or that. Okay? Now, the good news is, hold on. The good news is, even if we added up all 8 of these people, and then you added up the 10 options here, that's only 18. There are more than 18 of you in here.
Didn't you say it was
That,
pregnant?
can I talk?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Multiple people can sign up for each one of these. So it can be you and someone picking a topic. You can do it by yourself. Yep. Okay. So I want to give you a minute to sort of think about where you want to sign up here.
Order of
The sign up is now. We're signing up in class today. So think about it. I will get Mr. Fishbowl, and you will.
Order heavens of
Okay, but what if you don't get it? Can we do order of the solar?
Yeah, you have to be more specific.
I want
Satanism is not a
okay.
cult.
The Manson
I need a
family.
specific one.
A specific satanic.
Yes.
Okay. Just clarify in my head.
Okay, so if Heaven's Gate gets taken, can we look at Order of the Solar
Those
Temple?
slogans.
Okay, that just sounds
You
really
need all three
intense.
of these arguments in your presentation.
Okay, then if we don't get that one because it sounds so interesting, then let's talk about the Mansons
Sure.
because ooh, good lord, have you heard about those? Oh, you haven't heard about the Mansons?
No, I don't look at cults.
Ooh. But they were famous. It was like a
So put your name on a little
lawsuit.
piece of paper. I'll be right back with
Oh.
Mr. Fishbowl.
Okay, all right.
Really need this.
Yeah, we took
You don't have anything like homework wise in algebra right now, right? Nothing.
Okay, well, thank you, but no.
which I'm not ready.
You can write your name on
Give it back.
Danielle. Someone calls me Danielle.
Danielle.
Danny. Oh, what was it?
Danielle.
How do you still remember that whole thing? Because you recalled it so often.
Well, because Chip would be like, hi, Danielle. Doopa doopa.
How do you spell rhythm? That's always thrown me for a loop.
I'm rhythm.
T.
RHYTHY. This is how you're gonna know it's Danielle.
No, I don't think.
That's such a weird word.
Like how you pronounce it.
Or maybe it's
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's the second one. I think it's the
Fishbowl right here.
do the voice. Do like Siri. Just say.
They don't have a specific one. That isn't fun. A specific.
Oh, there's no Y. It's just an N. So RHYTHN.
Fishbowl's over there.
Can you do this in Fishbowl?
Put your name together. That'd be fine.
Can
I borrow your pencil then? Oh wait, if you're
I'm just gonna put
put your name on there.